Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Jennifer Etherton. I am the founder, Notary Public, and loan signing agent for Moonlight Mobile Notary here in Fishers, Indiana. I hope everyone is enjoying their holiday season. Today I want to answer one of the most common questions I get from my own clients, and that is, are you scared? Now, generally what they're referring to is, am I intimidated when I go into strangers' homes? And the short answer to that question is actually, no, I am not. Now, I am not brave. I am not anything special, but I do understand that a mobile notary position is much safer than other professions such as a delivery driver or a taxi driver or even Uber and Lyft when it comes to meeting strangers. And one of the reasons why it is inherently safer is, one, because people know I'm coming. They have either called and asked for my services directly, or their bank or title company has enlisted my help. So they know I am coming, they are well aware of it, and it just makes everything go much more smoothly. The second reason is because I am giving them a service that they absolutely need. And not only am I giving them a service that not very many other people can give them, I am coming to their home, so I'm making it more convenient for them, which also makes things inherently safer. Because I work mostly for the real estate industry, I do have personal clients, but most of my appointments are scheduled by a bank or title company. That client knows that I not only have to arrive safely, I have to leave safely. So their transaction can be completed and their home is either saved, or their refinance goes through, or their purchase of a home goes through. The client usually makes sure that I am happy, safe, comfy. It's actually kind of cool, but not dangerous for the most part. Now, I don't look at life through rose-colored glasses. I do realize that bad people exist, and I also realize that bad situations exist. Good people in bad situations. So I do take precautions, and the way I do this actually starts well before I show up at the person's door. So once I get an appointment, the first thing I do is I just look up the person. I try to look for any major red flags. It's not going to alleviate all the risk, but what it does is it gives me a good idea of what I'm walking into. Not only do I research the person, I research the place. I get on Google Maps, I turn on satellite view, I try to get an idea of what the house looks like or the apartment. I also try to figure out what the neighborhood looks like, where are the exits, where are the easy outs. I also look for any businesses that are nearby. This is especially true when I go out to rural areas, because if I'm at a farm or if I'm in a rural area, neighbors are usually few and far between, and there are no streetlights. So I definitely try to make sure I understand the area and where the nearest business is or nearest business center is, especially when it comes to gas stations. We'll get into the reason why that's so important here in a little bit. Another thing I do is I research the crime in the area. Now, I try to stick to areas that I already know and understand. Being just north of Indianapolis, and especially just north of the east side of Indianapolis, which parts of the east side are the most dangerous in the entire metro area, I make sure that I don't go to those really bad neighborhoods after dark. Deep East Indy, I don't go to. I don't go to Lawrence, Indiana after dark. Now, there's nothing against the majority of the people who live in those areas, because they are good people. I just don't want to risk running into the minority of bad people that are there. And it's really sad because there are some very, very good people that live in those areas. Another layer of precautions that I take when it comes to being safe on appointments actually starts well before I even get the appointment. I have two things that are always on. Because I am a Verizon customer, I use something called Hum. So it's something like Friend Finder, and it just allows my friends and family to know exactly where I am, down to the GPS coordinates. Just in case something goes sideways, they have a pen that says exactly where I am or exactly where my phone is. And even my best friend, she knows how long appointments usually take. So if something's going a little long, she knows it's about time to call the cavalry if I'm just not moving for much longer than necessary. So it really helps. And another thing I do is I actually use something called Notary Gadget. Now this is my accounting software, but I keep it up on my biggest screen, so I use multiple screens when I'm in my office, and I keep it on my screen and I keep it updated. So if something were to go sideways, that has the signer's name, that's their address, their phone number, and it also has the accounting information. But again, it says exactly where I'm at, and it can be updated from the road just in case I get calls for service while I'm out. I can still update it, and it updates on every device. So those are really two very good and powerful tools to let people know exactly where I'm at. So what are my options if the worst happens and things start to go sideways? Well, I have 4 layers of escalation, basically. So I call it Plan A, B, C, and D. Plan A is just a continuation of what I do anyway, and that is just treating people with respect, talking, kind of calming things down, backing things up, slowing down the situation, and trying to find out what the root of the frustration is. Now, if the root of the frustration is just not having answers to questions, that's simple. Most of the time I can either answer them myself, or I know who to call to get the answers they need. That is the only thing I've ever had to do. So I have never had to escalate it beyond that point. Now, if things are starting to get a little out of hand, and I'm just not feeling all that safe, or feel like I'm being boxed in, I do have something called Noom Light. Now, Noom Light is a personal alarm, but it's silent. So what it does is it turns your phone screen into a pressure plate. And once that pressure plate is released, you do have a few seconds to either type in a code to turn off the alarm, or it will contact local authorities through the 911 system. And it will tell them where I am. So I can have the cavalry on the way if I need to. And while I'm waiting, I still use communication to basically try to de-escalate the situation and leave. If it gets to this point, I'm done trying to move the signing forward. I'm basically trying to talk myself towards an exit. I have actually never had to use Plan B, but it is there if I need it. Now, say things are going really south really fast. They're on the fast track to hell. I do have martial arts training, so Plan C is to just fall back on my training. Now, that can be good and it can be bad. I live in a pretty affluent area, and most people here do use martial arts as a form of exercise, but also just for fun. I mean, it is kind of fun. So I need to get back into my classes, but I can rely on the training I've received, again, as a form or a bridge to extract myself from the situation. Now, if I'm having to turn towards physical violence, that means the police are already on their way. So they should be there within a reasonable amount of time, but hopefully it never has to progress even to that point, much less beyond that point. Plan D, I will not go into. I'm not going to get into a constitutional debate on my channel. I'm not about that life. So Plan D is permanent. Plan D is definitely final, and I hope it never goes that far. A couple of other things I do that might seem a little weird is, one is I actually wear stable footwear. So I do wear heels. I do wear, you know, business and business casual clothing to my appointments, but my heels are stacked. So they're not the thin little stilettos. I can run in them, I can walk in them, and they're not too high. Or I just wear flats, and that's so I can make a hasty exit if I have to. The last thing I do, and the reason why I also want to know where all the gas stations are, is I drive a Jeep. I drive a Jeep Wrangler, and one of the reasons for that is it's tall. In the winter I can see over snowbanks, or at least around them. But the four-wheel drive, it's a rugged vehicle. I can get in and out of everywhere. If I need to go over a curb, I can go over a curb. If I need to drive through a field, I might tear up the field, but I'm getting out of there. It's not going to beat anybody in a street race, but it is stable, it is durable, and I trust being able to extract myself from a situation. It also has never met a gas station it didn't want to visit. So I make the conscious choice to trade fuel economy, stability, and what I find safe. You know, it's not a dangerous situation that I find myself in. I do not have a dangerous profession. Things can go sideways. There are bad people in the world, but for the most part, being a mobile notary is actually quite enjoyable. I enjoy my job. I enjoy the people I meet. I also enjoy the pets that I meet. They definitely make a lot of the signings much more comical. They can actually turn a pretty dry, serious transaction into something just absolutely hilarious. So that's all I have for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative, and I hope you enjoy your holiday season. I'll see you guys next Sunday.